Lads, give your heart and soul. Run, lads, shoot, lads, give us all a go. Run, lads, shoot, lads, you can do it, yes. Come on, Newport County, oh. Bang it in the net.
Hello everybody, welcome to Taff's Word, and this time it's going to be about the current Trust Board of Directors and the incoming takeover from Mr. Hugh Jenkins. And a big thing that's prompted me to want to do a video about this in particular is basically seeing the amount of flack that these guys are getting. Now, I understand there's frustrations because of the state of the club, and yes, it's happened on their watch. Yeah, I'm fully aware of everything, and I'm not happy with the state the club is in either. But whose fault is it anyway? And that's the title for this video. Whose fault is it? Well, actually, no. Whose fault is it really? Whose fault is it really? Are we really going to pin it all on them poor bastards? Or are we going to actually look at the facts and actually look at starting to take responsibility for it ourselves in some way? So let's go to the very beginning. Right, so Les Scadding pulled out of the club, moved off to Barbados. Good for him, you know, his choice. He did great for us, getting us into the Football League, you know, helping finance, you know, bringing in the right players for that, you know, giving Justin Edwards and Jimmy Dack the support they needed to get us back into the Football League. Yeah, all that Les Loving, whatever. He went, and we were left with, well, a bit of a shit state, really, wasn't it? And that's why the option of buying out the club came about. And I think, if I remember right, it was like a loose suggestion with no expectation with it at all. And I can't remember which director made that, but it was a trust director. And Les just turned around and turned the whole thing into a possibility. So yeah, if you can raise this amount of money and pay me back this amount of money over a set period of time, then yeah, I'm more than happy to sell the club to the Supporters Trust and put you in the hands of the fans. Everybody got behind it. We didn't just vote for it with our hands, but we voted for it with our fucking wallets as well. You know, we actually got our money out of our pockets. We all raised money. We all put money in to community shares to allow the trust to buy the club. That is what we wanted as a group of supporters. Otherwise, if we didn't want it, we wouldn't have raised the freaking money for it. So the fact that we're trust owned is 100% down to the fan base in general. All of us. You know, there might have been people who opposed it. You didn't oppose it strongly enough. We didn't put people off it because it happened. The fan base raised the money so the trust could own the club. And obviously we had our first round of elections and everything, and it was pretty much the same people that got in. Ever since, I think there was only in the history of fan ownership at Newport County, there's only two people, just two, who's applied to go onto the board who didn't get voted in because there wasn't enough candidates to actually fill the trust with what we would call competent and good people, should we say. Not to say that the people who have been on there in recent years or throughout time have not been competent and have not been able to look after the football club. All I'm saying is if you're looking for someone better than what we had, we didn't have that. And there's a very, very big reason why. Because our fan base has got a history of absolutely slamming the people running the club. I mean, the likes of Chris Blight, Howard Greenaff, Tony Pring, John Bowkett have all been chased out of frickin' town by people who didn't like the way they were doing things. Eventually, Gavin Foxall went as well, like eventually. And I think the only person that remained on the board from day one was Sean Johnson. And there's a very strong reason for that. I mean, there's a very strong reason why people left the board. And probably a big part of it was the workload, which I don't think many people appreciate, the workload with keeping the football club running. Because the thing is, right, these people made mistakes, but if they weren't there in the first place, we wouldn't have had a football club because there wouldn't have been anyone to fucking run it. And there was nobody else stepping up other than them. So you've got to give them credit for actually keeping our football club running. They may have done it poorly to an extent, but they still kept it running. They made it so we had those memories of the playoff finals and the cup runs, because all that happened under them. The Great Escape happened under them. You know, the progression of the football club from there have happened under them. I think they got a lot of things right, but they also got a lot of things wrong, which is why we're in the financial state that we're in now. But, you know, look, it's not about pointing fingers at them. The point I'm trying to make is that we voted for trust ownership. We voted these people in because we couldn't get enough people to put themselves forward to have a good selection of people to choose from. So it was a matter of only 2 people over, I think, 4 or 5 reigns of elections have failed to get on. And in some cases, people went unopposed and just walked on. So it was one of those situations where some local idiot in the pub could have put themselves forward if they were a trust member, and they got 2 people, other trust members, to second their application. They could have walked onto the board, and they could have been making, you know, in part of the decision process for the running of our football club. They could just be some random pisshead from down the pub. And we voted for this. It was all made completely clear and obvious to us how things would work beforehand, but we still put our money in for it. And then, like I said, the people who got chased out of town, we have got a hideous, hideous reputation for demonising people just because we may not like them, or we may not like the way they're running the football club. And I'll tell you what, right, there's a firing line to put yourself in front of getting involved with the football club. I've got involved, not to that kind of extent, but there's a lot of people who I've spoken to over the years who will 100% understand what I'm talking about here. You try to do anything positive for this football club, and there's always people out there who are going to try and pull you down. For whatever selfish, spiteful reason they've got, there's always people there. I suffered it when I was on the board of the Supporters Trust years ago, when I tried raising money, fundraising events. I had my events labelled as chavvy by people who never turned up to any of them. You had people who did go to them who said, these are fantastic nights. Why haven't anybody else supported it? I don't know. You're asking the wrong person. Go and ask them. And now, just this Saturday, Tint in the Bucket Hats put on a fundraiser for the Player Fund. Right before January, a last chance to put a little bit of money in. We're talking $5.50 is the fucking, you know, like I say, the minimum you're at to put in is $5.50 for a ticket to come in and watch Tinty, and they were absolutely phenomenal. I did an 80s DJ set either side of it, and everybody enjoyed it. So it was money well spent for the people that did go. And then there was a raffle there. There was some decent prizes to be won and all that. So, yeah, it was brilliant. It was an absolutely superb night, and everybody missed out. And why? Because maybe there's a perception. Maybe there's, oh, fuck them, you know. And that's the feeling you get when you're trying to do positive things with a football club. You don't get the support from the supporters. And you never have done, and you probably never will. Certain fans, you know, the people who can do fundraisers who will get supported, which is great. But why only support one person when when people are trying to do the exact same thing as them? Raise money for the football club. Give these people a fucking chance. You know, we've got John Morgan and the Tinty boys that really tried to put on a good night, and they did. As much as they were let down massively by a lot of people, even some of their own band members didn't even turn up on the night, but they made do with what they had. You know, they had no support from the club itself, none whatsoever, and, well, except Spitty turned up for an hour right at the very beginning. No, fair play to Spitty for doing that, but they had no support from anyone else, and there was only a handful of fans, literally a handful of fans who turned up on the night. No one else offered or anything. We had no companies offering to sponsor the night, no one offering to help promote it. It was a shambles on that part, but the night itself was great. But that there is testament to the mentality of our supporters base, who, in their right mind, who's a good enough person to get onto that board and really take the club by the scruff of the neck and run it properly, who, you know, who's capable of doing that, would want to put themselves voluntarily into that firing line. Who, in their right fucking mind, would do that? Exactly. So, we were left with the people who went onto that board unopposed, and without them, we wouldn't have had a football club at all, because no one was there to run it, because no one else wanted to know. So, who's really to blame for the state that we're in? We voted for trust ownership. We didn't go forward, you know, and try and get people onto that board who were capable of running the football club properly. And, like I say, the abuse that people get, you know, people who run that football club get on a daily basis Who would rightly put themselves forward? So, you gather all that. Who is really to blame for the state the football club is in? I think 100% it is down to all of us as supporters. 100% down to us. So the people who are going on there slagging off those board members, you know, have no right to do so, because they, along with everybody else who support the football club, are 100% responsible for the state that we're in. So I think it's time for people to start looking at themselves now. And I think a lot of the people will know exactly what I'm on about. That is why we're in the state that we're in. 100%. And if anybody else tries to tell me otherwise, you're talking out of your fucking arse. Anyway, a lot of expletives because there's a lot of frustration around. So I do apologise if anybody's offended by the swearing. If anybody's offended by the message, well, I think the only people that are going to be offended by this are the people who can relate to it. So that will say an awful lot about yourselves. So, thanks for watching. And I hope that plenty of you agree with me. And if you disagree with me, I'm open to having a civil debate about it. I'm not going to be abusive or anything like that. I'm one of those, I'm an open-minded person. I'm always open to having my opinion changed. Some people aren't, and I know there's some people that just won't be swayed by this at all. But I think you point the finger at the people who actually kept the football club running, I think is fucking wrong. And we, as supporters, need to take a look at ourselves because, like I said, we are trust-owned because of us. We have no decent people putting themselves forward to be on the board because of us as supporters and the way we demonise people who run the football club or demonise people who actually try to get involved or just don't support them in the first place. And there's a lot of people out there who possibly could have put themselves forward, who are right at the front of all the abuse that they're giving to these board members, who haven't gone for it themselves. I think out of anyone who I'm talking about now, I think you got someone like Rob Santos, for example. I know he was always very critical about the way the football club was being run before he went on the board. Then when you went on the board and realised, oh, holy shit, you know, that this is not an easy fucking job for anyone to be doing. I think then there was an appreciation for what these guys have done over the years. But then I think a lot of other people need to take a look at it and actually appreciate the fact that we wouldn't have had a football club without them. It's as simple as that. Who else would have done it? Well, we're going to be moving into a new era now, and we're going to be having Hugh Jenkins in charge. And what I hope is that you're not going to get the arseholes coming forward and giving him shit because they don't like the way he's doing things. Because at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, the way he's doing things, we know that the way he's going to be doing things are the right way. So let's hopefully give him the time to start doing these things in the right way, and will be a better football club for it. I mean, if he achieves half of what he did when he was at Swansea, then I'm going to be absolutely over the moon by that. So there we go. Anyway, thanks for watching, and yeah, like I said, I'm more than open to a nice sort of civil debate about this, and I'm more than open to having conversations about it. All right, so thank you very much, and cheerio for now. As always, up the county. We'll see you in Wrexham on Saturday.